Ebusuya ya mama kwa ba sonko so the Ghana politics avenue so ebusuya mama yembo nra yensemu. Sene no first time a wo hwe ya no wa subscribe no wa share no wa hit notification bell no so amaye. Na nsem ni ba political headline so a nye de bi aba abedomo. Ebusuya yenkwa yensemu. Ebusuya eye nsem a ekoso eye Ghana sisia ne eye ye former eye Maslok director na say Maslok CEO a ye fe no Sedina Tamakloe omo de omo Extradite no de na ba Ghana na say ya bo na ba Ghana so oba be face eye ne law no abusua ye attorney general na say eye Dominic Ayini also kwakohia eye US aban no say eye ye former eye financial minister FN Ken Ofori enso omo de oba bo na ba ama oba face eye emra na say ne jail terms no so aba face abusua ensemi bi na ya project dia to screen so ama no Ghana, US to meet on Ofori Atta other extradition request. A year, Attorney General Kokoshia, a year US abino, no Omakasa Afa, a year Ken Ofori Atta. Say on also Baby Pimo Ghana, na ye the Yedi Nasem. Abusa Yankonikoti in Sambia, and so a course so, Yaba, Yediaka Betuamuso.
We understand a few hours ago after departing from Dallas International Airport in Washington, D.C., excuse me, authorities are expected to complete the necessary administrative security and medical procedures before transferring her into custody of the Ghana Prison Service, where she will begin serving her 10-year custodial sentence handed down by the Accra High Court. Over the last few minutes, less than an hour ago, we know that the U.S. Embassy here in Ghana has commented on the matter. I want to show you what they have been saying. Start off saying, justice has no borders. The United States has extradited, as we have told you already, Sedina Tamakloe to Ghana following her conviction on 70-plus corruption-related charges, including embezzling more than $6 million equivalent in Ghanaian taxpayer funds. This is our strong U.S.-Ghana law enforcement partnership in action, demonstrating a shared commitment to accountability and the first extradition from the United States to Ghana since 2009. That is the comment we've got from the United States, the U.S. Embassy here in Ghana in the last hour, or maybe even less, since news broke of Sedina's arrival in Ghana to face the consequences of the crimes, she is convicted of. Now, we'll stay on the subject now and speak to constitutional lawyer John Kwame Quayson, who has keenly been following this particular case. Counsel, good afternoon to you. Finally, Sedina is in Ghana to face the consequences of the crime she's been convicted of. This is good, isn't it?
Yeah, good afternoon, my sister. And I like the way you said finally. But anyway, much as it might be in the interest of some Ghanaians, I think this is not the main extradition or deportation Ghanaians are looking at. They really are in anticipation of what transpires or what happens finally with the case of Honorable Ken Ofori. I see there are two legs to this. In the heat of Ken Ofori's brouhaha, then the upset of this lady's case also came up. Now, some theorists, some commentators are of the view that this lady is being brought in as sort of conduit in getting Ofori's case finally dispensed with.
How
now,
so?
My initial reaction will be that I think it's in order. It's victory for our legal dispensation. At least for so many years, we haven't heard of any successful extradition in our country. So whether this is what Ghanaians are looking out for or not, there has been an extradition. Now let's use 1 second just to clarify. For the sake of our viewers and listeners, we do have deportation and then we do have the extradition. The deportation leg mostly comes when it has to do with breaches of immigration laws and so on and so forth. But this particular one, as you have rightly indicated, is the extradition part, where it mostly involves criminalities of citizens involving one state and then having to find themselves in another country. Ghana, and it doesn't come automatically. We should have some diplomatic arrangement with the state on the other side. Fortunately for us as a country, we have that diplomatic arrangement with the United States of America. We have a extradition treaty with them.
Indeed, so which is why she's here, and the communication so far from U.S. authorities talks about extradition and not deportation. I want us to stay on the subject matter because then she's here now. The question for the Ghanaian people in terms of the legal processes she's likely to follow now, what does the law say?
Let me go right away into it. So the legal processes is that because it's extradition, the U.S. will make the effort, transport her all the way from their country onto our shores here. And when the first point of call is our airport, the immigration at the airport will receive her. They will try and ascertain whether it is his real identity. And then they also find out whether she's in good condition of health. When these two main issues are ascertained with, then the immigration doesn't do things with criminality. They will hand it over to our police system. Then the police will go through whether actually there's a conviction order or sentencing order. Then if that is so, then the authorities will decide whether they should take her to court for the court to pronounce further orders, or as the sentence has already been done with, there isn't any further procedure after sentencing. So she will have to be taken straight to any of our prisons, whether in Sawam or whatever the Ghana Prison Service will agree
I see,
on.
Counsel.
So at the moment, this is the first procedure.
So, Counsel, you're telling us that if the Attorney General wanted for absconding justice, further punishment could be prescribed for her?
That is not an automatic one. It's a matter of the court to decide. Then we will have to restart the entire process, because legally, when you sentence, the court arms are tied. There's nothing prosecution can do again, unless you may want to take steps. And the steps are said that you are not coming to re-litigate over the same matter.
Well, so I guess what I'm asking is there any punishment for absconding justice?
No, it doesn't happen that way automatically. If you want to bring in punishment, then you are going to make a completely different case on that. But as it stays, a conviction has been given, a sentencing has also been passed, so all that remained was for her to serve her sentence. So whether she's been away for 30 years, 50 years or not is immaterial. But the court, you see, before sentencing, also took into consideration the fact that she had already absconded. She wasn't in the country when the sentence was passed. So the court factored in all that. But maybe they will consider the aspect that whilst the sentence was also pending, she still refused to come back to face justice until the Ghana government took some other steps in bringing her here. In that case, the state may want appeal. The court will have to sit over an appeal that the sentence that you gave her because of ABC. But you see, ordinarily, the court wouldn't entertain anything outside of being outside or absconding. The court would rather deal with the facts and the case put before it. And the matter has been dealt with already.
I see. So essentially, there are so many ways that this could turn out, especially when you tell us that, look, once the court had handed down the prison sentence, counting had begun. The court is blind to the fact that she has not been in jail since, the sentencing in 2024. And so the last 2 years, as far as the court is concerned, unless, the Attorney General returns to court, the court sees it as she was serving her sentence. So she has 8 more years to go.
So. The status quo must remain. But the challenge, the difficulty we are having here is that usually in our part of the country, apart from the legal side, our leaders, authorities are letting us know that everything, every issue, especially when it's a high-profile case involving a public official, then we should look at it from the spectacle of politics. Do you get it? So the political leg is the aspect that some feel that is cascading something that the government of the day is trying to employ, so that they will bring her in, hurriedly go and apply for appeal. Then before we realize she's already being given bail, she doesn't have to be inside there. And then she will enjoy all the period. And then in between, there will be an appeal for her, and then she goes scot-free.
Well, we do not, Counsel, we do not know yet if that is indeed a statement. No, hang on. So what I'm saying is we can't even preempt that way. We can't preempt that way. But here's what I can ask you to do. If Sedina Tamakloe were to go back to the course, can she successfully appeal the sentencing after absconding for 2 years?
Yes, she can also do that. And that's why I'm saying that in our part of the world, after you and I are done with the legal aspect, we shouldn't also go blind. We should also face the realities. Let the viewers and the listeners know that this is the position of the law. But there's also the aspect that everything will be reduced into Ghana politics. And then at the end of the day, the law will become useless. So that ordinarily, Sedina herself can also go on an appeal. Are you getting it? And then the court will look into it, whether her sentence should be reduced or be made to go scot-free. It's a matter of the court to look into that aspect also. But it is either the lady or the state prosecution to go on an appeal. As it is now, the matter has rightly gone before the court. It's been dealt with. And what is pending is her sentence. So both parties will have to decide what they want to do next. And then the law will take its normal course. But as it is now, it is a prison sentence.
Counsel, I hear you. All I was saying is that I do not have reason to conjecture at this point that the judiciary or the executive could influence the fate of Sedina at this point, apart from what we know her to have come into the country to do, which is to face the rest of her jail term. But here's something I want you to talk about. Why do you think that her coming to Ghana is giving people hope that perhaps the former finance minister may also be on his way, perhaps anytime soon, to the country?
Yeah, it has always been the desire. That's why in my preamble statement I did indicate it has always been the desire for many or majority of the citizens to see Atta back home, whether he did anything wrong or he didn't do anything wrong. The fact is that they want him to also to come and face justice. I think it gets to a time that the citizens feel some political leaders should be brought to justice or account for their stewardship whilst in office. It can't be business as usual, that because your government is in power, can't do whatever you want. At the end of the day, go scot-free. And that is really the desire of most Ghanaians. And they hope that anytime soon, Atta should also come. At least it has arisen, the sentiment is come to cutter the dirty waters again. And then the public's attention is going to be on Atta again. The U.S. government is also going to be made aware of the fact that Ken's case is also pending, and that they will do Ghana good by bringing him also back to Ghana to face justice.
Counsel, I appreciate your time with us this afternoon. John Kwame Quayson is a constitutional lawyer. We've just been looking at that breaking news in the last hour of this day. That's the former Tamakloe CEO who's been convicted of financial crimes, supposed to serve a 10-year jail term, has been extradited from the U.S. to Ghana. She has arrived in the country where we expect to happen is that processes will now follow for her to serve that jail sentence. But we've been looking at this in the context of the law, and which is why we brought in the constitutional lawyer, John Kwesi, on this matter. We'll stay on this as it evolves. We'll bring you more updates here on News Central. In the meantime, public universities across Ghana could be heading toward another industrial showdown as the University Teachers Association of Ghana threatened to withdraw their services by June 12 if government fails to address two key demands. Now, what are those? The association says it will embark on a nationwide strike if authorities do not release the dollar exchange rate required to process this year's book and research allowance. Benefits lecturers say is critical to supporting their teaching, research, and publication work. Now, UTAG is also demanding that the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission concludes negotiations and sign a memorandum of understanding on the conditions of service for university lecturers by the same deadline. Now, the latest ultimatum follows years of tension between the association and government over delays in the payment of book and research allowance and prolonged negotiations on conditions of service. Dr. Samuel K. Zegla is National Secretary of UTAG. He's joining us for a bit more on this story. Doc, look at us. We're back here on the same topic of book and research allowance. Why is this surfacing again when government has talked about the release of exchange rates and the likes to teachers, I think sometime last year?
All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to your viewers. Yes, we are back here again. Every year by March of the year, the Ministry of Finance releases the dollar rate for the computation of book and research allowance for senior members of public universities. We have been following this for several weeks. We have written to our sector minister who informed us that he took the matter up with the finance ministry. I must mention that just a few seconds before we came on air, we have seen a letter from the finance ministry just a few seconds ago releasing the dollar rate for the payment of book and research allowance just a while ago. Then, but the second issue that we have, it has to do with our conditions of service. Our conditions of service expired 31st December of last year. We were supposed to renegotiate the conditions of service, but we have been informed that there's a government position that they are constituting the Independent Emoluments Commission. So as a result of that, all negotiations were put on hold. In view of that, we actually had an interim arrangement with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. We negotiated an interim arrangement pending the operationalization of the Independent Emolument Commission. We have finalized the arrangement and we are left to signing of the document to pave way for implementation. It has been several weeks. We have followed up with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission several times. Even yesterday, we were in their office and there's no way out. It appears to us that the Ministry of Finance is not giving the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission the go-ahead to sign the agreement with us for implementation to commence. And so we have given them up to Friday. If we did not hear from the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, we will convene on Monday the national leadership and then we will advise ourselves.
So are you telling us that this communication you received from the finance ministry regarding the book and research allowance and this exchange rates component was quiet on your condition of service?
The conditions of service expired at 1st December 2025, and we have negotiated an interim arrangement pending the operationalization of the Independent Emoluments Commission before we go into...
Right, so what I'm asking is there was no communication on that because you tell us that you received communication in the last few minutes since we started talking.
That is in respect of the exchange rate for book and research allowance.
I see. But here's the thing. You had two problems. One of them has been solved. Sounds to me like that's some good effort on the part of the government, and students shouldn't bear the brunt of that when you decide to go on strike. You say Friday?
These are two different issues. We've been pursuing the exchange rate for book and research allowance since February of this year, and we are in June. We just received it a few minutes ago, less than 10 minutes ago, I must say. just when we were preparing to speak with you, that's when we received it. The issue of condition of service has been pending since January, and we are told that we cannot negotiate because we are constituting the Independent Emolument Commission. In view of that, we have negotiated an interim arrangement pending the Independent Emolument Commission, and we are yet to sign the document for implementation to start. And the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission is dragging its feet. We have been to their offices several times. We have spoken with the chief executive. He kept telling us that he's waiting on instructions from the Ministry of Finance. So it appears the Ministry of Finance is holding us back, and that is what we're looking at.
So again, what I hear you say is, despite the payment of the exchange rate component of your book and research allowance that you tell us you received less than 10 minutes ago, unless the conditions of service issue is also dealt with, your ultimatum to government stands.
Secondly,
I see. Now, let's move away from that. Perhaps the executive will find time to respond to it. But away from that, how can we ensure that we do not get back to this point of exchange rates, book and research allowance not being paid? How can we put a stop to that?
It all rests with the government. We are doing our work as employees of the government. Nobody calls us in the morning to go to work. We go to work. We do what we are expected to do. And government has an obligation to compensate us for some of these services. So we do not need to be having back and forth and be coming on air to speak about this before government releases rates or pays us what is due us.
Former financial minister Ofori and a request Attorney General request say on no so aba no facing the jail term no. Ebusia subscribe and not subscribe no why notification bell no so am I then send me back political headline so near the be aba bedum. Ebusia yedamase.